Old red bricks, full of Melbourne history, laid on mortar over a solid concrete slab under this gazebo. Let's get stuck in. In this video, I'm paving a large patio under an existing gazebo here in Coburg, in Melbourne's inner north. The clients were after a solid, character-filled finish, so I'm using my usual old red bricks, laid on mortar over a concrete slab. You've probably seen these bricks on the channel before, but this job is a bit different. Instead of a crushed rock base, everything is going straight onto concrete. It sounds like the rest of our bricks have just arrived. These bricks are stamped Barclay, which likely connect back to brickworks around Barclay Street and other clay pits in the inner north. This corridor between Brunswick and Coburg was dotted with yards that fired local clay into the red bricks used across Melbourne's early suburbs. Those works changed hands and names over the decades, but the basic story stayed the same. Dig the clay locally, fire it in long rows of kilns, and send the bricks out along Sydney Road and the rail line to feed Melbourne's housing and factory boom. The bricks that were already here are stamped Spear, and I'm going to mix them all together to add a bit of character to the paving. The Spear name is linked with brick-making families and yards further out in Melbourne suburbs, where clay from the same volcanic plain was turned into pressed reds for houses and pavements. Bricks from different yards always have subtle differences in colour, texture, and size, so mixing them together gives the paving a bit of depth and a story. It becomes a little snapshot of how much brickmaking shaped Melbourne's growth. Before any bricks go down, getting the levels right is absolutely crucial. Once you start laying, you don't want to be chasing big height changes or trying to fix falls with every row. If that first course isn't straight and square to your layout lines, your gaps will creep, either getting wider and wider or tighter and tighter as you move across the patio. So you'll see me take my time here with string lines and a square, nudging bricks a few millimeters at a time until that starting run is perfect. The extra patience at this stage saves you a lot of headaches later. The Spear bricks are about 10 millimeters shorter and around 5 millimeters thinner than the Barclay bricks. That doesn't sound like much, but once you start laying them in a pattern, those differences really add up. As I go, I'm constantly shuffling the layout, staggering joints and tweaking joint widths, so the lines stay straight and your eye doesn't catch any sudden changes. It's a bit more work, but the end result is a mixed brick surface with loads of character. For the mortar bed, I'm using a mix of 4 parts sand to 1 part cement. That gives a strong bond to the concrete slab, but it's still workable enough that you can tap each brick into its final position without fighting the mix. Once that first row is locked in, I can start building out the pattern. I'm weaving the Barclay and Spear bricks together rather than splitting them into separate areas, which helps disguise the size differences and avoids obvious banding. By slightly adjusting joint widths next to the shorter or thinner bricks, I can keep the overall lines running true while still letting those subtle variations in colour and age show through. For this section, I'm stopping the rows right where the gazebo finishes. Drainage is crucial here, like it is on every paving job, because about a third of this patio sits outside the gazebo, and there's a garage and timber steps nearby that we definitely don't want water running toward. To make this work, I've effectively broken the paving into 2 planes, one under the gazebo roof and one outside in the open. They will look like one continuous surface, but they're actually pitched slightly differently to guide water where I want it to go. The subtle level changes will pull the water away from the garage, away from the timber steps, away from the retaining walls, and down into the garden bed where it can soak in safely. You might be wondering why this paving is being done on a concrete slab. The soil around here is a really heavy clay, and it's extremely reactive. When it gets wet, it swells, and when it dries out, it shrinks and cracks. If you lay paving straight over that kind of movement, You're asking for subsidence and cracking. Coburg is well known for its heavy clay soils, which are characteristic of the northern suburbs of Melbourne and are formed from the weathering of underlying volcanic rock. These soils are dense and sticky when wet, and while they can be challenging, they are also nutrient-rich and support a variety of plants, especially native species adapted to these conditions. The Merri Creek winds right through Coburg, and along its banks you'll find plenty of these native plants growing wild in the natural corridor. The golden wattle and river redgun, as well as various other eucalypts, acacias and melaleucas, are all native to this area. Before any of this was suburbia, the land around Coburg and Merri Creek was part of country cared for by the Wurundjeri people, who used the creeks and volcanic plains for food and travel, long before roads and rail came through. European settlement here grew quickly in the mid-1800s, boosted by the gold rush, with Sydney Road becoming a busy route lined with hotels, shops, and one of Melbourne's earliest traditional markets, right in central Coburg. Back then, the area was called Pentridge, and the big change came when a temporary stockade became a permanent prison, built out of local bluestone, later known as Pentridge Prison. The prison dominated the area for more than a century, and provided a huge amount of local employment, but residents eventually pushed to move away from the jail stigma, and in 1870 the township was renamed Coburg. For a long time, Pentridge was the landmark everyone knew, but these days people are just as likely to come here for cafes, markets and the redeveloped prison precinct, where old bluestone walls now sit beside apartments, bars and public art. It's a pretty wild shift for a place that once symbolised punishment and lockdown. Coburg went through a massive land boom in the 1880s, with new rail and tram links helping turn it into a proper commuter suburb. Not all of those subdivisions filled straight away. When the boom crashed, thousands of empty lots were left to weeds and even herds of goats, before later waves of development turned it into the dense, mixed suburb you see today. Merri Creek has also gone through a big transformation. It used to be a dumping ground for industry and rubbish, but decades of community work and revegetation have brought back native plants and wildlife. So now you've got this green corridor cutting through the suburb where people walk, ride, and escape the traffic for a bit. A lot of Coburg's character is tied to what's under your feet: bluestone and clay. The volcanic plain here provided bluestone for quarries and clay for brickworks all through north and west of Melbourne. Many parks and reserves around Coburg and Brunswick actually started life as open-cut quarries, where basalt and clay were dug out for roads, buildings, and brick kilns, before later being turned into the green spaces locals use now. When I'm laying bricks, I often find myself focusing on the patterns they make. It's not just the basket weave pattern, it's also about the more subtle patterns created by the different colours, tones, and slightly varying shapes of these old reds. Back in the day, brickmakers took real pride in their craft, and each batch had its own character from the clay and kilns. When I try to place each brick thoughtfully, working with those natural variations, I try to honour that old tradition, blending art with practical work. Stepping back at the end of the job and seeing those tones and shapes come together is incredibly rewarding. It's a reminder that paving can be more than functional. It can be beautiful and full of meaning. I always look forward to the brick cutting stage. It's where the layout really starts to take shape. There's something really satisfying about a precise cut that slots perfectly into place. Good cuts make a huge difference to the end result. They give the whole patio that sharp, professional finish. But if you rush it with sloppy, uncared for cuts, it brings the entire job down, no matter how well the rest goes together. So embrace the noise, dirt, and dust, and just enjoy the process. Taking the time here pays off. Once all the bricks are down and the bed mortar has had time to firm up, I move on to grouting the joints. For this, I'm using a slightly richer mix, 3 parts sand to 1 part cement, for a stronger finish that helps lock everything together. Once dry, the final colour will be the option on the far right-hand side. Grouting isn't really the fun part of the job. It's a lot of mixing, sponging, wiping, and cleaning, over and over. It can be a bit like watching paint dry, but with more elbow grease. The key is grabbing a good audiobook to get through. Nothing saves a long grout session like a cracking story. Once it's all cleaned up though, those filled joints pull the whole patio together and make it look properly finished. Patios are the heart of garden living for many people. They're the spaces where indoor and outdoor life blend together. I've seen patios transform how families use their gardens. Lunches under the sun, evening meals surrounded by plants, or just a place to unwind after a long day. When I lay bricks for a patio, I think about how it'll invite people outside, encourage connection with nature, and extend the home's living space. It's not just about bricks and mortar, it's about creating a welcoming stage for life's small yet meaningful moments. Under a structure like this gazebo, a solid brick and mortar patio feels almost like an extra room. The old reds tie in with the historic housing and industrial buildings that grew up around Pentridge, the quarries and the old Sydney Road strip. The combination of a concrete base, careful falls and strong grout should keep this patio performing well for many years in Coburg's clay soils. That's the Coburg patio wrapped up nicely. If you enjoyed watching, please subscribe or drop a comment below. Even just an emoji means a lot. Knowing you guys are enjoying these really helps justify the time I put into making them. Thanks for watching.